we've admitted to not being on the fringe of. I listen to a fair amount of podcasts. A lot of podcasts that I listen to, they're talking and referring to Game of Thrones. And this is something that I love about podcasts because I just skip right forward when they're talking about the
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, because I don't find myself ever being interested in that. I just don't. It's not my cup of tea. Now, if they want to talk about Orange is the New Black, that's
is that show still around?
Its final season's coming up.
Jeez, forget about it already.
And it's a good show. It really is.
One of those I'll get to one of these days.
I like things that are entrenched in reality, which brings me to my next point. Friday, there's some people around here that love The Simpsons. I've never really been a Simpsons person because it's a cartoon.
Yeah.
Okay?
What about Family Guy?
I'm barely a Family Guy guy.
Okay.
I mean,
the jokes are fun.
When I see it on, I appreciate the humor, but I don't seek it out. Same thing with South Park. When I see it on or somebody else is watching, I appreciate the humor, but I don't actively seek it out.
If Simpsons guy is the same guy that watches Family Guy and South Park.
No, I don't think
I feel
so.
like it is, and as far as, ridiculousness goes, South Park would probably be number one. It's like over the top, offensive, and then Family Guy, and then who knows? But Simpsons way down.
Simpsons has got some good tongue-in-cheek humor, and I think that's what the people that like it like that for the same reason that I like Parks and Rec. But it's hard for me to wrap my head around it because it's a cartoon. It's a cartoon, and for me, cartoons were meant for children. Growing up, that's what cartoons were. I mean, no adults were getting jazzed about watching any cartoons. So I kind of maybe come from an old school in that line of thinking. But they were talking about it being Homer Simpson's birthday on Friday. And I'm like, what?
That's a made-up character, right?
That's
not a real person.
How do they establish a birthday for Homer Simpson?
I can see the Simpsons having a birthday.
If Bart had a birthday every year, he'd be close to our age. He'd be in his late 30s. Okay? So you can't give Homer Simpson a birthday, which I was like, wait a minute, how does Homer Simpson have a birthday if he's never aged? They're like, oh, well, he was born in 1955. It was in such and such episode. I'm like, okay, great, awesome. Cool, dude. But he's not aging either. He's always been the same because it's a cartoon.
Right.
It's a land of make-believe.
Sure.
Nobody ages. You don't have to worry about that. That's what gives him the luxury of having 30 seasons or whatever it's been. I can't wrap my head around that. So when they're talking about it being Homer Simpson's birthday, I'm sorry, I can't get behind that.
God, The Simpsons was so 20 years ago. I'm trying to think, what was Bart Simpson's catchphrase that everybody would...
Is it, don't have a cow man?
Don't have a cow man! That's right. Oh, my God. I remember when we were in college, our friends of ours were into The Simpsons, and I just remember going, these are dorks, man. That was so 10 years ago. And now, look at it. So weird. Yeah,
no,
I'm on the same page
with you. It still lives on, though. I don't think it's 20 years ago. I think it's still popular enough to where Fox keeps renewing it.
But what are you watching, or what are you doing that you were doing 20, 30 years ago? I mean, I can't think of anything.
Watching Cops. I still watch episodes of Cops.
It's not Cops anymore. It's Live PD,
well,
right?
No, but I still watch old episodes of Cops.
Oh, you do?
Syndication. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Love Cops. And the fact that they don't make it anymore, I love it even more because it's like a jaunt down memory lane. Because I could look at it and be like, oh, yeah, I remember when people drove those kind of cars.
I remember it was late 80s, early 90s. Everything was into the ice beers, and you watch Cops, and they're pulling Bud Ices out of it. I mean, they still make that stuff, but it's
the logos are old.
They're putting it on top of the hood of the car.
Yeah. The logos are old. The drugs are old. The ball caps are old.
Is there anything else that you're still watching that you were watching 30 years ago? I guess you got to hand it to The Simpsons there because they've kept this audience.
Same thing. It comes on every night after the news. I watch the 10 o'clock news.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Everybody's texting in right now at everybody that's rumored to be San Luis Obispo. I thought that was...
Seinfeld. You still watch episodes of Seinfeld.
That's true, but they're not making new episodes of Seinfeld. I'm saying that they're still making new episodes of... But yeah, I still watch Seinfeld, and that was 30 years ago. Pretty crazy.
It was 30 years ago. That is crazy to me to think that was on 30 years ago.
But it's funny. It's still funny.
Yeah, I watch it every time it comes on after the news on the CW, which I don't think it does anymore. I think they replaced it with Goldberg's.
Bill Dance.
But I
still watch Bill Dance. I've been watching him since I was 5 years old. And I was Bill Dance for Halloween, so I know.
This is why sports stands the test of time. Yeah. You can never get old. Sports never gets tired and old.
It's the same thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, the script every time. It's just the outcome's going to be different, and the players and the story is going to be different, but it still follows the same set of rules, I guess.
Subscribe to the Jeff and Jeremy podcast now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, and YouTube. It's your Central Coast commute-friendly podcast.